The air in Elias's apartment was a stagnant blend of stale coffee and unsmoked cigarettes, a testament to his perpetual state of almost quitting. Today marked day 3 of his latest sobriety attempt, a familiar landscape of jittery hands and a mind buzzing with 1,000 tiny anxieties. He paced, worn path in the carpet, mirroring the ruts in his life. The pills, stashed in the back of the medicine cabinet, hummed a low, seductive frequency. His phone buzzed, a jarring intrusion. It was Sloane. Sloane, his anchor, his savior, his exquisitely patient girlfriend. Shu was the reason he was even trying this time. She'd found him curled in a corner after his last relapse, cold and shaking, and instead of judgment, she'd offered a warm blanket and a steady hand. She was his rock, his lighthouse in the storm of his own making. Hey, her voice, smooth as river stones, flowed through the receiver. How's my hero doing? Elias managed a weak smile, holding on. Just trying to keep the wolves at bay. You're doing great, love. Just remember what we talked about. Focus on the little victories. 1 hour at a time, one breath. Her words were a bomb, her belief in him a potent, albeit temporary, shield against the craving. He spent the rest of the day in a haze, battling the familiar demons. He cleaned the kitchen, organized his books, even tried to write a few lines in his long-neglected journal. By evening, exhaustion had settled deep into his bones. He was winning. For now, Sloane arrived with dinner, a fragrant Thai curry, and a gentle smile. She sat with him, listening as he recounted the day's small triumphs, nodding with genuine pride. See, too, I knew you could do it, she whispered, stroking his hair. You're so much stronger than you think. In that moment, nestled against her, Elias felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this time, maybe with Sloane, he could truly escape the loop. A week later, Elias was still clean, though the urges remained a constant hum beneath the surface. He was feeling lighter. He'd even started making plans for the future, tentative steps towards reclaiming his life. He decided to surprise Sloane by tidying up her small, meticulously organized apartment while she was at work, holiday. He loved the quiet order of her space, a stark contrast to his own internal chaos. He was dusting her bookshelf when a small, leather-bound journal slipped from behind a stack of art history books. It wasn't ornate, just plain brown leather, but it felt heavy in his hand, imbued with a sense of significance. Sloane was private, intensely so, and he knew he shouldn't open it. But a sliver of curiosity, a rare rebellious streak in his usually passive nature, pricked at him. He flipped it open. The handwriting was Sloane's, elegant and precise. He expected to see musings on art, or perhaps even a diary of her own struggles. Instead, his eyes landed on a date, followed by an entry that made his blood run cold. March 14th, Elias. Day 1 of relapse. The tremor in his hands, the way his eyes dart from side to side, pathetic but so beautifully desperate. The perfect blend of fragility and decay. Observed 4 p.m. Left the bottle of Adderall on the counter, just within sight. Waited, didn't take long. Success. Elias's breath hitched. He frantically turned the page. Scree holiday. April 2nd, Elias. Day 2 of withdrawal. The raw pain, the feverish shivers. He clung to me like a drowning man. His dependence is intoxicating. His need, my fuel. Note to self, suggest the poker game next week. He needs a reason to fall again, and I need to be the one to catch him. Page after page, entry after entry. It wasn't a journal. It was a goddamn field report. His relapses weren't accidental. His desperate pleas for help weren't just answered. They were orchestrated. Sloane hadn't been his savior. She had been his dealer, his enabler, his puppeteer, the shrine he'd half-jokingly thought of earlier. The idea of her documenting his life now felt horrifyingly real. There were sketches crude, but undeniably him, depicting his various states of despair. There were printouts of his texts to her, underlined phrases highlighting his pleas for support. There was even a faded photograph of him, taken covertly, slumped against a wall after a particularly bad binge. His own addiction, the one that gnawed at his insides, suddenly felt trivial, almost quaint, next to this monstrous revelation. He wasn't battling a substance, he was the substance. He was Sloane's addiction. He was her fix. When Sloane returned, the Thai curry on the table was cold. Elias was sitting rigidly on the sofa, the journal clutched in his white-knuckled hand. Her smile faltered, her perfectly composed mask cracking. Her eyes flickered to the journal, then to his face, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of something raw and desperate beneath her serene exterior. Elias. Her voice was softer than usual, laced with an unnerving tenderness. What's wrong, love? He pushed the journal across the coffee table. It skittered to a stop near her hand. This is what's wrong. She picked it up, her fingers tracing the leather, a strange mix of resignation and something akin to a perverse pride in her gaze. She didn't deny it. She didn't even try to lie. You read my notes, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Your notes. Elias's voice was hoarse, thick with a cocktail of betrayal and a terrifying self-awareness. Sloane, these aren't notes. This is me. My life. My pain. You engineered it. Sho looked at him then, her eyes wide and luminous, brimming with an emotion he couldn't quite decipher. I helped you, Elias, every time. I was there. You were there because you put me there. He stood, his movements jerky, uncoordinated. You watched me fall. You made me fall. For what? For this. He gestured wildly around the apartment, then back at the journal. A tremor ran through her, a subtle shake that started in her hands and moved through her slender frame. Her composure, once so impenetrable, began to unravel. Her breathing grew shallow, ragged. You don't understand, she pleaded, her voice cracking. I can't explain it. It's just you. He watched, horrified, as Sloane began to mirror his own withdrawal symptoms. Her eyes darted, wide and unfocused. Her hands started to tremble, a fine, barely perceptible vibration at first, then growing more pronounced. She gnawed on her lip until it bled, her gaze fixed on him with an almost desperate intensity. I love you, Elias, she choked out, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. I love being the one you need, the one who understands. The one who picks up the pieces. You love the pieces, he corrected, a bitter laugh escaping him. You don't want me whole. You want me broken so you can feel. What? Powerful. Important. I just want you, she whimpered, her voice dissolving into a raw, guttural sob. I need you. I need your struggle. I need your chaos. It's what keeps me going. She was shaking violently now, her body convulsing, her face pale and clammy. He saw it then, laid bare and horrifying. Her addiction, he was her drug. His pain, her high. His dependence, her purpose. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw not the composed, caring woman he thought he knew, but a hollow, starving creature feeding on his destruction. The irony was a cruel twist of the knife. He, the addict, was suddenly faced with the terrifying realization that he was also the addiction. To break free from his own chains, he had to deny her hers. He had to become clean, not just of his pills, but of her. He had to become boring, stable, healthy, the very antithesis of what she craved. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken truths and agonizing revelations. Elias looked at the shivering woman before him, the woman who loved him with a terrifying, consuming hunger. And he knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that his hardest battle had just begun. He had to detoxify himself, not just from the substances, but from the person who had become his most dangerous and most seductive poison. He turned and walked towards the door. Elias, don't! Her voice was a desperate shriek, a plea ripped from the depths of her withdrawal. He hesitated, his hand on the doorknob. He heard her fall to the floor, heard her ragged sobs echoing through the apartment. His instinct, honed by years of seeking comfort and avoiding pain, was to go back, to soothe, to be the fix she so desperately craved. But he didn't. He pulled the door open, the sound a thunderclap in the oppressive silence. He stepped out, leaving her behind, leaving his own addiction behind, walking into the uncertain, terrifying freedom of being truly alone. The world outside felt stark and cold, but for the first time in a long time, it felt real.